The tree of liberty requires from time to time that it be watered with the blood of tyrants and patriots. It is its natural fertilizer. That's a quote from Thomas Jefferson. Thomas means twin. Thomas Jefferson wrote the Thomas Jefferson Bible, in which he cut out all of the miracles of a standard Bible. No more walking on water or turning water into wine. He was a Gnostic, and he cut out the miracles of the Bible. The twins are next to cancer. Cancer has the claws that cut the dividing line, the two halves. And his quote there, referencing the tree of liberty, requiring to be watered by the blood of tyrants and patriots. Here we have the lower self, the tyrant, and the higher self, the patriot, the patriarchs, those who came before us. The two selves, the bull, the Taurus field. We're talking about our aura. And being removed from our aura, being removed from our higher self, our higher calling, these are not just metaphors. These might be more literal than you may have ever thought. And that's what I'm going to try to convince you of today. Sad fact is none of us can know what I'm surmising. And therefore you may hear me use the phrase I believe many times in what I'm about to posit. But I have to believe it because I was not gifted to know it. But if we keep the faith in the stories we've been given, we can pass them on to our children, and those who come after us will have an opportunity to pass on the birthright of kings, to give the higher calling to their children. So, circling back to this phrase, diction of Aries, the word Aries, if you listen closely, you hear the ear, eyes, ears to hear, the eyes to see. And what I'm positing here is that there is a higher form of hearing and a higher form of seeing that is possible for a newborn child, for the miraculous birth. It just occurred to me when I was putting this together that Aries in reverse is Zira. It may also be Z-I-R-O, pointing here at this O, the Fool card. And again, the Fool card is the place entered. It is the entering point, and he falls off of a cliff. In the tree of life, called the fallopian tubes, the very beginning of it all involves the falling off of a cliff. And many times the fool will be cast out. When the blood is spilled, the fool will be cast out. That is the metaphor of Cain. The blood is spilled and he is cast out. Abel, the preferred child, the one who God favored, was put into the earth, and the earth erupted with light. This is clearly, to me, a metaphor for the birds and the bees, for the cycle of life. It doesn't always work out. Sometimes the baby goes quite a few months, and there is an abortion. The Cain and the Abel story, when you put those two together, you get the word cannibal, but it's not for the dark reasons that come to mind. Often there are deeper metaphors under our first impression. Cain would be your first impression, the one that is cast out, that is defiled. There's a more beautiful ability, Abel. There's an ability to understand these metaphors. And essentially what we have is the lesson of the birds and the bees encoded deeply into many of the stories of our elders for very good reason. So we spoke earlier of this the missing 3 sections of the zodiac being the keystone. You know, if you look at the shape of the G is encoded in this 3/4 of the wheel. 3 plus 4 is 7. That's the sacred number. That's the G. You flip that upside down, you get the E, egg. We're talking about the egg. You know, 4G is 47, that's silver. The 5G is the egg, EG. And also here, I just wanted to kind of highlight that shape they were discussing. That is the Pac-Man. Pac-Man in reverse is Cap. The capped man. The capacitance, that which motivates you is your higher self, your higher voice, the higher calling. Racastaldo talks about the man of the cloth, a baby who was born with the call sack on their head is the man of a higher calling, the man of the cloth. Tupac is a good example of this. You put his name in reverse, you get Caput. Caput. He had a lot of caps put in him, but he wore that bandana on his head like a crown, and it was the cloth. He was embodying a man of the cloth, and he was sacrificed, I believe, used for a sacrifice. But before he was sacrificed, he was signaling some very high knowledge. The birthright of kings. He was quite the alpha personality and walked a very hard path to teach a very difficult lesson. So, moving forward, this is the sign of the Omega. And the Omega is not dissimilar to this sign. You know, a lot of people call this the Stargate. This is a Stargate image. And there is more to that than we may ever know. But that Omega sign is encoded deeply in this symbol, this 3/4 of the pie that I'm trying to convey today. So we talked about Oz as the goat. We talked about the Zai goat and the 2 goats leaving the temple. This being the temple, the mountain of Zion, you know, the eye of providence, the building blocks of life. A through Z, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning was the end. That is a book by Oscar Kissmaerth. Oscar Kiss, Maerth. Some people may want to look at that. It talks about cannibalism and how the history of cannibalism may be on first take is much like Cain. It's something that we want to dismiss and throw away. But what I'm about to postulate is that there is a form of cannibalism that does not require loss of life. It gives life. It is potentially a second coming of sorts. So the zodiac is the zoo of the Ziddiq. Ziddiq means stone. The zodiac is the ark of Noah. This is the ark full of animals. You can look up circular Noah's Ark, and you'll see a lot of research on the possibility that Noah's Ark, if there was ever such a thing, was a rounded boat, not rectangular. It was round because nobody was steering it. It was self-propelled. It needed to be a rounded ark. And you fill it with animals, you get the zodiac. The amphora. This is the ampersand, which we talked about earlier. This is the binding, the DNA. This is the vessel, the sacred chalice, the cup. This is the sacred cup. The amphora was a container for wine. It was a container for oil, and it has been used in the past to hold the heart of saints. It is a sacred vessel. And wouldn't you know, between the O, the emptiness, the void, and the amphora, we are talking about this keystone being a vessel. I believe that the curtain of Oz that Toto pulled back is a metaphor for the placenta. Somebody once put on the internet that they wish of all the characters in the Wizard of Oz that they could be the curtain. The curtain was able to see both sides. It was able to see what was going on in the machine and what was going on in the world of Oz. It had two-way vision, and it was pulled back by Toto. Toto in Spanish means total, all, the all-seeing. The curtain was the was the all-seeing. Toto was the subconscious, metaphorically, in that film. So you'll notice that this keystone is the shape of a baseball diamond. Well, here we have the base. This is the foundation, the beginning, the first steps. Ball is the placenta, the sphere, and daemon. Daemon is your higher self, your genius. We're getting into Plato, not just Carl Jung. We're talking about Plato now. A lot of the greatest minds through history were very much in touch with their higher self. The full armor of God. This gets very touchy. A lot of people get very sensitive around this phrase. The full armor of God was not given to me. My mama didn't eat the placenta. I didn't get the birthright of kings. I am mundane. I am of the world. But the full armor of God is knowing the story. That is what you can know. And knowing the story gives you the faith to have the full amour of God. The full love of God is the faith that you're given in maintaining this story and passing the faith on to the next generation. Very famous Catholic writing was called Fides y Ratio, faith and reason. And faith and reason are the two wings that man uses to lift himself up. That's the phrase we're talking about, the bi-bowl, the two bowls. Again. So here we have, to close off, what our higher self, what our genius, what our daemon is much like Virgil. It's the guide in the spirit realm. That's why in martial arts, in spirituality, there is always a master and an apprentice. It's the relationship of the higher self guiding us. It would be Morpheus, much like Morpheus in The Matrix. It would also be Cuba Gooding Jr. in the movie What Dreams May Come. And I believe that the Masons are the keepers of this keystone knowledge. The keystone is what they are the keepers of. And we get the questions. We are left with the questions. Questions to why. Why are we here? And some of them, they are initiated. They know the secret of the keystone. But the kings, some of the highest elites, are initiated. Those are the people who are truly initiated, and they walk in both worlds, much like Dreamtime and the Aborigines. And the placenta is your castration. Most of us are tenderfoot. Tenderfoot is the birth certificate. We are in the two-dimensional paperwork, bonded paperwork, fictional reality. That is our caste. Ration. We were unclean. Mama didn't eat the placenta. But there are some people, I believe, who are initiated. They walk in both worlds, and they pass the tree of life forward to the generations after them. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the deep end of the pool. Much love, y'all. Stay strong.